He's called it crack cocaine. After I met a guy in Los Angeles, his wife had left him. Or he had left his wife, sorry, because she was a crack cocaine addict. I blame crack cocaine. I blame crack cocaine. Look at my woman, skin and bone. Would not leave cocaine alone. Stole my watch, wedding ring. Crack cocaine, took everything. I blame cocaine. That's what I blame. Cocaine. I'm getting a job, I'm leaving the neighborhood. This time, woman, I'm gone for good. No use crying, smoking crack. This time I swear I won't be back. You can blame cocaine. All right. Crack cocaine is what I blame. I blame crack cocaine. Crack cocaine.
Thank you so much.
That's on the new album. It's been sung by Paddy Casey. Excellent. But he sings completely different to me.
Right.
Lisa, and so I think he's actually better though.
Oh, that's to be debatable, isn't it? That's debatable. I doubt it. Yeah. Well, listen, Don, thank you so much for coming to meet us here today. We're here at the Wexford Arts Centre.
You're very welcome, no problem.
And thanks for taking the time out.
Yeah, I'm just tired from driving.
I'd say so. You had a bit of a trip down, I believe, from Trim.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah. Was traffic all right?
It wasn't too bad. It just rained a bit, you know.
That's not too bad.
But then we saw the clouds parting. The sunny southeast is on
the
way, so
that's
no
it.
problem.
You know, we're famous for our good weather. You got us on a good day, so you did.
Yeah.
So, Don, tell me a little bit about yourself. You know, you're originally from Dublin. What was life like growing up in Dublin when you were young?
I was 64. I was born in 1950. And it was really different. I mean, how will I describe it to you? On Sunday, you wouldn't see a car. People didn't have cars. You know, and the ones that did would be considered millionaires, like really wealthy people. So, you know, there was that type of atmosphere. Sunday was like really kind of dead. There were no like garages like we have now where you could buy cigarettes and minerals and, you know, sandwiches and stuff like that. Just unheard of. You know, the shops I think closed at 12 o'clock on Sunday, and that was it. It was just really a really dead day. Like Chris Christopherson's song On a Sunday Morning Sidewalk. You know, that song actually always reminds me of when I was a kid on Sunday. I would have come from a very poor type of background, you know. I lived in a place called Whitehall, and my father was a waiter in the Gresham, and he was a heavy drinker as well, And but that would have been the norm for most men back then. You know, it was tolerated, and it was, as I say, it was the norm. You know, but I went to school in the School of the Holy Child in Whitehall also, and it was just, we didn't have much, you know, and like we'd play on the road, we'd make swings on the lampposts, and we'd play kick the can. Relivio, and we'd make up our own games. Like, we didn't have computers, or we didn't even have TV. I think the first time I saw television, I was around 7 years of age. It was in black and white, and it was Rin Tin Tin.
Very good.
You know, and it was all, you know, like snowy, the screen.
The dog booting
you know,
around
and I think there was someone on a roof trying to fix an aerial thing, and we were shouting up to him, oh, we nearly have it. Oh, you got the picture, you know. So yeah, but that's the way it was.
And what, you know, like based on that, like what got you into, you know, into your music, you know, especially the harmonica, and you know, and guitar as well. Like when you kind of come from that background, you know, like how did you get into it?
Well, I don't know if this is significant, but my father played piano, and he wasn't professional, but his family were very wealthy. They had a house in North Great Georgia Street. No, sorry, Frederick Street in Dublin. And they were very wealthy, and of course they had a big parlour and did the piano in there. And he used to go in and play piano all the time. And, you know, I mean, I've heard reports when he'd take a break during the day from the Gresham, Frederick Street is only up the road, so I'd go up and he'd do a few hours on the piano. He was very good, actually. So that's, as I say, significant. Whether it was passed on to me or not, I don't really know. But my first instrument was a harmonica when I was in hospital. I was around 6 or 7, and I heard a gentleman play the harmonica. He had TB of his spine. He was lying on his back, and all he could really do was just read or play a harmonica. And I just fell in love with the sound of the instrument. And I asked my mum, could she get one for me? They were really cheap. And she brought one up, which is great, and I drove everybody crazy. And the matron used to take it from me in the evening, and I would be outside her office the next morning waiting for the harmonica.
And that's how you started.
And I remember I used to play it under the blankets, thinking they couldn't hear me. I was just a kid, you know.
Yeah, that's a great story, that is. It really is, you know, in hospital.
And I had a lung disease, I had TB.
Right, okay.
You know, and I probably have the strongest pair of lungs in the country at the minute.
That's it.
You know, from blowing the harmonica.
From so much blowing on your harmonica when you're under your, could have been your cure, you know.
It could have been. I often wondered about that.
That's it. Yeah. And tell me, who are your influences?
Well, what happened to me was, it was strange. What happened was, we moved to the inner city when I was around 11 and a half, maybe 12. You know, the half is very important when you're that age, right?
Well, this is it.
So, you know, around that age, and I came across a character called Richard Uzel. And he was in one of the local clubs called the Belvedere Youth Club. And there was a guy there was influencing him and teaching him about blues. And I think Woody Guthrie was spoken about, Leadbelly, Big Bill Brumsey, Sonny Terry Brown and McGee, Scrapper Blackwell, Robert Johnson, of course. And he was relating all this information to me, and I was all ears, like, well, what is this? Like, oh, the Americans, the American Delta blues singers and players. And there's a guy who plays harmonica called Sonny Terry. And I thought, I considered myself a really good harmonica player. Like, I was actually shit. You know, I just played melodies and stuff I'd hear on the radio. Some of the tunes I would have played that I can remember would have been Take Me Back to the Black Hills of Dakota by Doris Day.
Yes.
What's that one? Moon River. Stuff like that would have been on the radio. And when he introduced me to Sonny Terry playing the blues, and he showed me the harmonica. See, the one I played was a real long thing, and it sounded like an accordion. So he showed me this small harmonica, and then he played a track for me by Sonny Terry. And I said, nah, they couldn't produce that type of sound on that little instrument. He said, trust me, he said, they are. He is. And I wouldn't believe it. And I still refused to play that type of harmonica. I was adamant I was going to like stick with the one I had, because I was familiar with it. It was my comfort zone. And even today, like, nobody likes stepping outside their comfort zone. That's a bit the way it was. But we went to a session. They had blues sessions in Mars in Moore Street, which is long since gone. And I forget the musicians that were playing. There was some guy playing harmonica. And I can't remember his name. And I went up and looked at his hand. I asked him to show me. And it was one little harmonica. And he was pretty good.
Yeah.
And so then I was convinced. So then I decided that's what I was going to play.
Excellent. And then obviously, you know, your talent got greater and greater. And then, you know, in the 70s, I know you were on the road a lot.
Yeah, but I was, the other part of what happened to me regarding the blues and all that was I was a juvenile delinquent. I mean, I was a crazy kid altogether. So I wound up being institutionalised. Yeah. And I think, but that all finished up when I was about 17. But the last stretch I did, I was in a place called Shangannon Castle, right. Which was a rehabilitation place for young men, young delinquents. And while I was there, I walked into a room, there was a guy playing guitar, and he was doing this, look at it. It was a glorious Van Morrison song. So I said to him, how the hell do you do that? Like, what's all that stuff? That these are chords, you know? Yeah. So I said, how could I learn them? He said, well, I can write out a chart of the 6 strings, but that's where you put your fingers. So I said, would you do that? And he did, and so I had decided then that I needed to go, really needed to go back to school, that I missed out on education. And that's what I did. And I used to, like, instead of watching TV in the evenings, I used to go back to the classroom. They'd lock me in, and I'd study whatever I needed to study. It'd be like literature, even poetry, like English, mathematics, geography, all that stuff. And I had a teacher who would come in as well, a partner teacher I had during the day, from a local monastery or someplace. His name was Dinny. He was a brother or a priest, a really nice guy. And he used to come in, but after I got the guitar, and this guy lent me the guitar, by the way, I borrowed it from him. And instead of having like what I was learning on the blackboard, I put chords. So I'm sitting there and I'm like trying to learn what these chords are, see? And he walked in, he said, what are you doing? And I said, I've decided, Dinny, what I'm going to do with my life. And he said, which is? I'm going to become an entertainer, a guitar playing, harmonic player. She said, you can't just decide that like that, Don. I said, I have decided, and I know that, because I tell you why. When I was 7, there was a guy in school, and the first record I ever heard that I really liked was by Joe Brown. It was a thing called The Yellow Dress. That yellow dress you wore when we went dancing Sunday night. The smile you gave me in the movies when they did the lights out. I tried in vain to wash the memory from my brain. I can't forget you, and that's what love will do. That was the song. So I was mad about this song, and he played a big jumbo. You know, like this sort of thing. And I thought, oh, it's fantastic. So there's a guy, his name was Dennis. I'll never forget his name. I don't remember his second name. And he had a jumbo guitar like that. So I brought in marbles, toy soldiers, comic cuts, whatever I had, toy guns, like whatever I had, I brought in for him to swap, and he never swapped. Oh, no. So he wouldn't swap. So I didn't get a hold of the guitar until I was that time in the rehabilitation place, and I was like nearly 18 at that stage. Nearly 18, and then obviously, you know, you practiced and you got better and better. Yeah, what I did was, I have an obsessive personality. What I did was, you could go sick, which meant you had to stay in bed, so you didn't go out walking or go to school or anything. Yeah. So I'd go sick, and when everybody was gone, I'd sneak into a man's locker. Okay, he wouldn't give me, he got jealous of me, I was progressing really quick. Yeah. So I sussed out his combination on his lock, and I'd take the guitar, and I'd sit there, and I'd be practicing all day long. But they twigged it, right? Right. So then they decided they wouldn't feed me as long as I stayed in bed. Right. Right. Now, it wasn't a big deal. So I marched down to the governor in my pyjamas. Yeah. I walked in the room. They won't feed me. And I always remember the officer, I'm sure that's the twig we would have given, said, Governor, he goes sick to play the banjo. You know what I mean? So that was it. The next day I had to get up and but I practiced as much as I possibly could. And then from there, then obviously
you went in and you were touring all over Europe and
yeah. Well, I come back and as I say, I was living in the slums. There's no easy way to put that. And one of the songs I heard was "Key to the Highway," and it was like, "Well, I got the key to the highway. Yeah, fill up it. I'm about to go. I'm gonna leave here running, mama. Walking is just too slow." So that was, I'm going down, yeah, down to the river. So that was the first song that really got to me, like, oh wow, I got the key to the highway. I'm bound to go. Like, there was a part of me wanted to see the world and educate myself and learn new things, not just about music. So I just went. I came down here actually, and I got the St. Patrick, and I went to France.
Oh,
and from there I hitched through France up to Germany, and I started busking.
Very good.
And then I started to get the odd gig in blues cellars. I don't know why across Europe, all the jazz and blues is played in cellars.
Right.
You know,
and a very underground kind of thing.
Yeah. So I get the odd gig, and I go into pubs and I'd say to the barman, "Can I play the guitar and sing?" And I play the harmonica in the rack, you know.
Yeah.
He'd say, "Yeah, go ahead." And the waitress would go around with a tray and collect money from me.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'd play for 20 minutes and I'd put the guitar down. And I'd wait like for another 20 minutes or half an hour. I'd take it back to sing and she'd go around and make another collection.
Very good.
You know what I mean? And I played in the streets as well.
Very good. And you did that for about a decade, didn't you?
Yeah, for a long time, yeah.
Very good. That's amazing.
But I had a great time. I met a guy from England and he had a bus. It was like a huge big bus, you know.
Yeah.
And he had on the front Blackpool on the front. It was an old-fashioned bus. You could reel down where the destination, you know, what you'd see today, like where the hell the bus is going. But I went down to him. I was busking and he came up to me. He looked like Clint Eastwood. He had one of those blankets on him, and he had the hat. And he had long hair. A really nice guy actually. And he told me that he had a bus, and we had a beer together. They had a bus. We'd like to go around, around the continent. I thought he meant like a Volkswagen bus. So he said he was parked down at the local train station. This was what's the university place in Germany? Heidelberg. So went down the next morning looking for a Volkswagen bus. Couldn't see one. Saw a huge big bus. It couldn't be. I could have felt it was stupid. It was really early in the morning. Nobody around. I went up and knocked on the door. And he came down in his jockey set off. "Come on, man. Get on the bus." He's beds in the bus, cooker, stereo, all the seats taken out and beds put in. I thought, heaven on earth. I mean, you talk about Easy Rider. This is like Easy Rider, eat your heart out. You know, so I said, let's go. Let's cook breakfast first. Had a bit of bread. Out, crates of wine. Out with the wine, like 7:30 in the morning, playing the guitar, drinking a bottle of wine. You know,
is he still around? Could we go find him now and go get on the bus?
No, he said I was with him for about 4 or 5 months. We ended up working on an apple farm in France, and I left him. Something happened at home. I had to go home, and his next venture would have been. He told me he wanted to get a barge and go wherever he wanted to go on his barge. That was his next thing he wanted to do. You know?
So he sounds like.
But he was into LSD,
right?
Acid. So sometimes he dropped his acid.
Yeah.
And he'd just go into a field with a blanket and cross his legs and just sit there like this, like for days. And I'd be drinking the wine up on the bus.
Sure, why
you know, and when he'd get ready, so he'd ready to go, okay, well, let's go to such and such a town. We get to a town, we go into town, I'd start busking. And he'd collect the money. He was a vegetarian, so we just got eggs for him and lettuce and, you know, whatever.
He was
scallions
a cheap
and
date.
What?
He was a cheap date.
Cheap date, yeah.
So,
but we used to have parties on this bus. Go along the bus.
I bet you had parties on that bus.
And you didn't have to stop to use the loo. You could just go down, open the door, while the bus went along. You know what I mean?
Now I'm really getting some insights. This sounds like I wish I was there. That sounds like great fun. I have to say,
absolutely.
I'd say you had some amazing adventures.
It was brilliant. Absolutely.
And then from that, then you know, and just to kind of flip things over a little bit, then you know, you've written a lot of books. you know, in instruction books and tutorials. Like, what made you decide that right, I know all this and I'm going to write this down to show
a guy just approached me, and his name was Pat Conway.
Right.
And he was working for Waltons at the time. I'll tell you a really great story. When I was trying to learn ragtime guitar, which is, I got into ragtime guitar for a long time, and also I played stuff by Chet Atkins. But in order to learn it, I needed books. So I was on the dole and I didn't have any money. I went up to Waltons and I saw all the books I needed. So what I did was, I lined up they're really thick books, right? I lined them with 4 books and looked around, no one was watching. So I took them, put them under my jumper. I stole them, ran out the door with the books, right? Yeah. So when I wrote my first book, when I went in to pick up the royalty check, I went into the office where Neil owns Waltons. Well, his Lord rest his poor dad, he did. And now Neil inherited the business. Neil owns the place. And I went into the office, hey Neil, I said, there you go, have a check here for you, Don. There you go, it's the first royalty check. Oh, thanks. Said, actually, could you deduct, let me see what it would be. Trying to do the math on it so many years ago. This is 20 years later. The books are 20 quid each. Blah, blah, blah. I'd say Neil, you need to deduct about 150 quid off that check. Yeah. But what he said, well, when I was a kid, I come in here and I stole 4 books. And he just said, get the fuck out of here, Don. You know. And he just laughed at me, you know.
Fair play.
Good story.
That's a brilliant story.
Little did I know I'd write a book myself. I write loads and loads of books, which are in German, Spanish, Italian, even in Japanese.
That's amazing. Fair play to you. You set your mind to something, and you know you've really kind of done it.
Yeah, I'm a bit like that. When I get the bit between my teeth, I don't let go.
Yeah, that's a good way to be. So it is.
I guess so.
You know, obviously, as well as that, you've recorded a load of albums as well, you know.
Yeah.
Can you tell me about your own compositions, and you know, where do you get your influences from? Those, is it, you know, are they based on your life's journey, or you know?
Yeah, they are all autobiographical. There to go with them big words again.
Did you swallow an encyclopedia before you came up here today? Huh?
No, but they are. They are autobiographical, and most of them, I wouldn't help to intellectualize, being quite honest. And I really don't like, not that I hate them, just but I wouldn't be into guys that write songs that only they know what they're about and no one else does. Like I call them cryptic songwriters. So I very much shoot from the hip, don't intellectualize. There's usually an emotion with most of the songs, you know. Excellent. I write about stuff that happens to me. Like the last song I wrote I was in Alabama some years back with a gospel choir. I toured with a gospel choir down around Mississippi, and all that area. I had a fantastic time with the gospel choir. They were all black. I was the only white guy. Right. And but the head preacher, when we'd be on the bus going to gigs, told me some stories about, you know, the Ku Klux Klan, and his father, he found him hanging from a tree when he was a child. And about the 1963 in particular, when they were marching, and Martin Luther King was very much to the fore. I think JFK was president, and all of that stuff. So I started to write a song. I just give you the vibe of it. It's like, it's real empty. It's like, just going to capture deep south everything. I flew into Alabama. The black preacher greeted me. We were kicking down the Mississippi. That should have been. We talked about the history, you know. He said the Klan killed my father. You know, and it goes on like that. As a bit and it goes there. And the Klan killed the children as they knelt praying for Martin Luther King, home of the brave, land of the free. That's me being sarcastic. And that's the kind of... So not rocket science guitar playing, but just
storytelling as well.
Just trying to create and put the haunting harmonic in there. Just trying to create an atmosphere.
Yeah.
And it's funny, I play it on a Stratocaster, and I don't have the capo on, so that's in D. And at the end, I do something like that. But you can hear the frets. You hear that?
Yeah.
Well, it's more prominent on the electric guitar, and it sounds like a rope.
Oh, wow, yeah.
So just oh my God, that sounds like...
So
that
you
sounds
can
like
kind of...
a rope. You know the way a rope would creak on wood?
Of course.
I thought, Jesus,
And a haunting as well, what it's haunting.
Yeah, and the important thing about writing songs as well is the groove, so it's really important if you're writing a song, you get a groove. Like, don't go to bed thinking, I'll remember that.
Yeah.
Because you won't, Well, I don't. At least I don't. So yeah, I mean, songs come a strange way. But just when you get the inspiration, just to get just a small paper recorder, and just get your guitar. But most of the time when I write songs, I'm thinking of the bass and drums in my head, and so it could be just like that. That to me is the snare drum, and my foot's the bass drum.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm hearing when I'm writing. Not so much the chords or anything, like the rhythm, the groove, and the melody, and of course the lyrics. You
put it all together then.
A long answer to your question,
but very informative. Very informative. Thank you. Can you give me some tips for people who are just going to start out in their musical career?
Well, there's no easy answer to that question. But what I would say is, right through my career, everything I've did and done has been a labour of love. I never think of how much it's going to make. I never think financially. I do something because I love to do it. I do my dance, and I would suggest to young people who are starting out, whatever it is you want to do, whether it's acting, whether it's art, whether it's music, whatever instrument, whether it's piano, guitar, harmonica, tin whistle, uilleann pipes, whatever, do it for the love of it, you know what I mean? And it really is a spiritual thing, without going off on tangents here. It really is. It's a feeling. It's a spiritual thing. You know in your heart what you want to do. I know this may sound really weird, but the only place I really feel at home is on a stage.
Okay.
Yeah. The only place I totally feel, when I'm on a stage, I don't want to be anywhere else. So
it's your favourite place in the world?
It's my favourite place in all the world. Like, I really don't want to be anywhere else.
That's amazing.
And so, I could go into intellectualising, like, well, you need to do this, X, Y, and Z, blah, blah, blah. But no, the simplest answer to that question is just don't listen to your peers. Like, my dad used to get out to me for playing the guitar, because I play the guitar as soon as I get out of bed in the morning. Fucking things haven't changed much in 50 odd years. I'm just thinking that now. But I started to play the guitar from the time I got out of bed until late in the night, and I just all day long would play. And I remember coming into me saying, actually, I went into the kitchen one day. I was practicing the banjo at the time, and I was listening to a Barney McKenna, Lord rest him, Barney McKenna instrumental, and he got the teapot, and he said, the same effing tune from morning till night, and the tea leaves were going in his hair and all over the place. That's when I decided to leave home. I got a little bedsit for myself so I could sit there, and I lived on tins of beans. So like, that's the other thing, like, if you have that feeling inside you that you want to do something, don't let anybody stop you, including your parents or your peers, or anyone around you, what I mean? Don't listen to them. You go and do what you need to do.
That's great.
Whether it means living on the dole, living on tins of beans, so what, big deal. You're in your element, you're doing what you want to do, you know what I mean?
That's what it's about. Don, you're an absolute inspiration. You really are. It's been such a pleasure talking to you today.
Thanks.
I'd sit here all night and talk to you, so I would. I really would. So thank you so much for meeting up with us, and best of luck tonight. And hopefully we'll see you back again soon.
Yeah, I hope so. Thanks.
Thank you.
God
Thank you
bless.
so much.